I've got a crispy Sprite here, which means it is going to be a chatty video. Hi, welcome back to my channel, and for all of my new friends here, welcome. I'm Caitlin. I'm a writer documenting my entire process to becoming a published author, and I just finished writing the very first draft of my very first book ever. If you like My Lady Jane or Renegade Nell, you might like my novel Sir Callan Gray's Final Lament. It's a soft fantasy that follows a disgraced medieval knight and the time-traveling journalist who is trying to uncover the truth about his exiling. If you like process videos or even just chatty vlogs, you can now binge the Daily Dose of Draft 1, where I recorded in real time the highs and lows of trying to draft an entire novel in 30 days. Spoiler alert, it was very challenging but very fun, as it brought me a lot of new friends along the way. If you want to know what's next for me, you're in the right place, as I will be gushing about all of the books that I want to write in the future, as well as hinting at a few of my 2025 projects. So, let's get into it. Like most writers, I have a mental log of all of the projects that I want to write. Some of them, like Project Lament, are just a few months old, while others could legally vote. I want to talk about Project Birdie first. It's a high fantasy set in an elite horse racing academy if the horses were actually giant birds. It follows West, a desert rat orphaned street flyer who has given up on racing after a pretty bad, pretty public comp accident that could have left her paralyzed. But when a group of talent scouts come to recruit her top performing cousin for the more illustrious sport of bird racing, the Academy's golden boy has his sights set on the more risky bet. The two are then thrown together to navigate the complications of competing in a school that is based on generations of greed and secrets, all for a prize that they are not even sure that they actually want. I mentioned in one of my previous videos that I have attempted the November drafting challenge for the past 10 years, but last year was actually the first time that I've ever reached that 50K in 30-day goal. And that was with this project. I started plotting in October 2023 and fully intended this to be a standalone. But when I hit 50K and I was only at like chapter 10 of a 27 chapter outline, I realized that I might have been a little in over my head. So I took a few months off and started plotting in March of 2024 with the intention of making it a trilogy. But even now, as I've been living with this growing mass of an idea, I'm starting to think that we're looking at more like 5 or 6 books. Ideally, I would really like to have a few more completed and revised books under my belt before I really start to tackle such a large series. So for now, Project Birdie is on the back burner. But that leads me into my next book, Project Space Western. This is, as the project title entails, a standalone sci-fi western. It follows 15-year-old gunslinging prodigy Harlem Dunn as he is in the midst of an early retirement from his life as an intergalactic gangster. However, when Dunn is commissioned by a coveted councilman, or blackmailed, some might say, to deliver a classified package across the galaxy, Dunn is forced to come out of retirement and reassemble his gang of outlaws. It's only when they accept the mission that they realize the package is the councilman's daughter, who is also the ex-lover of Dunn's lifelong best friend, Charlie Rhodes, who, as it turns out, is unreachable not because he is off counteracting all of the bad that they did, but because he is back to working for their old mob boss, Landry Hendrick. This was my 2021 November drafting attempt, and this was at a time when I realized that I could just write things for fun, which has been a life-changing mental switch for me, because before I thought that all of my projects had to be some unique commentary on life or innately meaningful, which would give me writing paralysis and I would stop writing. But the truth is, nothing is unique. Everything is built from something else, and the most important thing is how you tell your own story. This year, I really put into practice making writing fun again and simply telling a story that I would be interested to read. I found that this has done 2 things. The first is it's reignited my passion for storytelling, and the second is that now that there's no more pressure to make it mean something, it is free to say what it wants to say. which I think is really cool. I would love to revisit Project Space Western as my 2025 November challenge, and I would love if you stuck around and saw that happen. And last but not least, I want to introduce you to what I consider my heart's book, Project Space Kings. This story follows Anakin, the resistant boy king of his small corner of the galaxy, and his adopted shapeshifting brother Kolart, as they battle the grief of their father, the politics of intergalactic war, and their evolving feelings around identity and being in positions of power. You'll notice that this premise is a little bit shorter than the others, and that is because this seedling of an idea that I had at 13 years old has definitely evolved as I have now at 24. I can see a lot of things clearly, and I've lived with the characters and the scenes for a very long time, but the plot has changed quite a lot, and I think it will continue to evolve as I do. I came across a piece of pretty harsh advice that I think will live with me for a really long time, or at least while I'm continuing to grow. I will paraphrase for now, but essentially the person suggested that you don't write your heart story as your first story. They went on to say that, like with other art forms, you need to practice and build your skills and your muscle, or you might just become discouraged. Imagine you're someone who's never touched a paintbrush before and you think, hey, I have this idea for a painting that's been living in my head for forever and I want to bring it to life. And then you sit down at the easel and you start to paint, and then you realize when you're done that it looks nothing like how you thought it should. You're going to be shocked and frustrated and probably give up painting. So that's why this book is not going to be written for a very long time. I do want to give you a bonus snippet about the short sci-fi story that I will be writing in 2025. This story follows Ranger Bastion, who is an alien life form known as the Other, hiding in a host body. He's on a space station full of Rangers, which are Earth's protectors, and he is trying to compete for a spot in the illustrious first string to sort of prove that he is not like the others. But he quickly realizes that he's gotten in way over his head when the captain tells him that the games are rigged. This is by no means an exhaustive list at all, but I hope that it did get you excited for some of the things that you might see from me in the future. If you're still here, thank you. I am so grateful to have such an invested community behind me already. Sharing my goals and my future projects not only helps keep me accountable, but it helps keep me inspired. To have so many people already invested in Project Lament definitely lights a fire under my butt to keep going, especially on those days where it feels impossible to start. So thank you for being here and for cheering me on and fueling a dream that, until a few months ago, I used to consider delusional. If you like this video, please consider subscribing and turning on notifications to see more like it. And if that wasn't enough for you, you can now see even more of me on my author website, which is now live and linked in the description below. There, you can subscribe to my newsletter that I send out every other month, where it's just a little sleepover gab sesh about what I've been working on and how you can get involved in some pretty cool things, like becoming my beta reader, getting published in Wild, the online lit mag that I actually started this year and am running. And if you sign up in December or January, you are automatically entered for a chance to win a free cover design for your project designed by yours truly. You can check out in the description other ways to support me, like booking my cover design services on Contra or buying me a coffee from Ko-fi, because heaven knows I'm going to need it if I'm to finish all of these writing projects. I will see you all in the next one. Happy writing.